The National Weather Service office in Springfield confirms not one but two tornadoes touched down in southwest Missouri. I'm Chris Warner. We'll break down the tornado paths and the damage they left behind.
And lights out. Last night's storms led to power outages in parts of the 4 states.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
4 staters left without power and even in some cases tornado damage after a round of severe weather. This is KOAM News at 6. We go straight to meteorologist Nick Kelly. Nick?
And thankfully, this first look at weather, Jordan, is looking quieter with not much to track this time around as we go deeper into the evening and overnight hours. In fact, this is what we needed after we dealt with the storms last night and this morning. Plenty of mostly sunny skies to get the 6 o'clock hour started. And thankfully, absolutely nothing on the radar network. This is going to get a break before, unfortunately, our next storm system out west starts to head our way. But in the short term, the last of the cloud cover is just beginning to clear Stockton Lake and areas around the Harry Truman Reservoir, but that is still causing some severe weather in central and northern parts of Illinois. But as long as that system's out of the picture, we're in good shape for this evening. Most of us are near 70, if not seeing lower 70s out west. Still some 60s, though, where the cloud cover is finally beginning to let up. But even with the cloud cover letting up and maybe some additional clouds overnight rolling in, we'll go from a mild evening, Jordan, down to 58 by 10 and into the lower 50s for your Tuesday morning. And like I said, like it or not, we've got more rain and storms in the forecast. We'll break that down here in a bit.
All right, Nick, thank you so much. Those storms produced one confirmed tornado in Jasper County, another confirmed tornado in Newton County. KOAM's Chris Warner has more on those storms and the damage they left behind.
They found that this storm was an EF0, which of course is the smallest measurement they have for a tornado.
Jasper County Emergency Manager Keith Stammer says the National Weather Service in Springfield provided that confirmation Monday afternoon. It was one of 2 tornadoes that touched down in southwest Missouri from the late night storms. The damage it left behind was thankfully minor, but it did destroy an outbuilding at this home on Barton County Boulevard and also damaged irrigation systems in nearby fields as well as trees and power lines.
There was some land, of course, that had been scoured in the area. Fortunately, no loss of life and apparently no injuries.
This tornado touched down just before 5 Monday morning around Sumac Road and roughly paralleled County Road 40 heading north before it lifted just north of Barton County Boulevard. The peak winds were estimated at 85 miles an hour, and thankfully, the storm remained in a fairly rural part of the county.
The storm certainly could have been worse, and as far as tornadoes go, I guess maybe this was one that we will find acceptable in terms of damage. The thing to remember so many times about these particular storms is to be prepared, to know what is coming.
This wasn't the only tornado in southwest Missouri. About 3 hours earlier, from a separate group of storms, an EF1 tornado touched down in Newton County near County Highway AA. This storm left this damage behind along Jaguar Road as it tracked north in between Jaguar Road and I-49 before lifting 3.5 miles later near Oak Road, just southwest of Neosho. Like the Jasper County tornado, there were no fatalities or injuries reported. While October tornadoes are rare, Stammer has an important reminder for everyone in the 4 states.
Tornadoes can happen at any time, although as you get into the cooler months, they tend to be not as strong. So we still have to be vigilant, still have to be aware.
In Jasper and Newton counties, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
The storms left some 4 staters without power. The Carthage Water and Electric plant says crews were sent out as early as 4 this morning. They add that most damage was because of strong winds, breaking poles and causing limbs to fall off trees, as well as their primary electric lines getting tangled.
The wind brought some trees down. It tangled some of our primary lines together, so it was kind of a mixture of lines twisted and then trees coming down onto our primary.
Power plant says initial damage from the storm overnight has been taken care of. Joplin Health Department is reporting 2 more COVID-19 related deaths. Officials say the patients were a 64-year-old man, also a 44-year-old woman. The latest deaths bring the city's total to 175. Well, data shows that most of the people who participated in Missouri's COVID-19 vaccine lottery were already immunized before the program started. The incentive program was started in July as Missouri struggled to control a surge in cases driven by the more transmissible Delta variant in less vaccinated communities. Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services conducted the last of the drawings in the program Friday. Among the participants, 57,117 adults got the shot. The program was announced after the program was announced, while nearly 600,000 got the shot beforehand. Joplin police have released the names of two people who are the subjects of a death investigation. They are 87-year-old Arlene Smolik and 88-year-old William Smolik. The two were found dead with gunshot wounds in their home on the 1300 block of Massachusetts Street in Joplin. Arlene was found inside, William outside in the backyard. The police say they are not seeking a suspect at this time. Still ahead today is National Indigenous Peoples Day. We're going to show you what that means and how it's being celebrated at a Northeast Oklahoma school. And later, the investigation into a deadly hit and run at Arrowhead Stadium. Today is National Indigenous Peoples Day, a day to honor the contributions of Native Americans. National Indigenous Peoples Day falls on the same day as Columbus Day as a way to honor the people already living in the country when Christopher Columbus landed in 1492. The influence of Native American culture can be seen everywhere. In many parts of the country, rivers, towns, and other landmarks still bear names originally given by Native tribes. Last Friday, President Joe Biden signed the first ever proclamation declaring October 11th Indigenous Peoples Day in the United States. He's the first U.S. president to formally recognize the day. And over in Grove, Oklahoma, city leaders also declared today Indigenous Peoples Day. Over at Grove Middle School, students learned about Native American herbal teas.
For Native American Day, we were really happy with our city that they passed a proclamation to recognize Grove Native American Day. President Biden signed a proclamation to recognize Native American Day in lieu of Columbus Day. And then we still have Native American Heritage Month, which consists of the whole month of November. So you know what herbs to get.
Carlington teaches a class on Cherokee traditions at Grove Middle School. Well, last week we told you Oklahoma State Superintendent Joy Hoffmeister announced she is joining the race for Oklahoma governor. To take on Governor Stitt, a Republican, Hoffmeister is going to change parties and run as a Democrat. It's a move, she says, is the result of watching how Stitt was running the state.
Well, you know, it was one of great reflection over many months, and I can no longer identify with Kevin Stitt's Republican Party. It is narrow and excluding the majority of Oklahomans who care about values like common sense, working together and respecting one another. And I can lead where Governor Stitt has been unable to.
The state's gubernatorial election will take place in November of next year. All right, later we're going to tell you about the rare new addition at a Kansas zoo.
But first, we'll enjoy a quiet evening before more rain chance to start to head our way. Full forecast next.
Don't miss this.
It was about high time that we quieted down after we had to deal with strong and severe thunderstorms late last night into this morning. You can see on the SkyWatch Storm Tracker, wave number 1, wave number 2, both provided some severe weather as we went from our late Sunday night and into Monday. Not a lot of hail reports, maybe a lone golf ball report of that particular size hail up in either Coffee or Anderson counties, but we had a confirmed tornado touching down south of Jay, Oklahoma. The Weather Service in Tulsa will get to that survey tomorrow, but Springfield was able to confirm an EF1 tornado just outside of Neosho, as Chris Warner mentioned earlier in the show, and that EF0 tornado near Golden City and Dudenville with that second little line of thunderstorms that pushed on through. But in terms of what everybody saw, quite a bit of rainfall. While the average across the entire region balances out to about 1.4 inches, the amounts varied between ½ an inch to almost 2.5 inches of rain. But after we had to deal with all of that mess late last night, early this morning, we finally getting the back edge of the system completely out of here, but the rain was gone ever since we started the afternoon. So it is nice that this is looking completely dry for the rest of the evening. But it's going to get a workout again, unfortunately, as we head toward Wednesday with our next storm system on the way. The 7th and range line, a beautiful sky. Can't ask for anything better. 69 in Joplin with the west breeze at 6, and the humidity not too bad at 53%. So it's nice to see that bit of dry air in place as well. Near 70 around the Joplin metro. West of Joplin, you're mainly in the lower and a couple mid 70s, but there were still some stubborn 60s because of the slow progress of the cloud cover clearing out across the rest of southwestern Missouri. But we'll all have mostly clear skies to start the evening out, but eventually that's going to send us back into the lower 50s for our Tuesday morning. So let's break down our surface setup as we broaden the view out. Nothing in our immediate four-state area to get this evening started. Our last storm system was working through Illinois and Indiana, prompting more severe weather out that way. But there's our next cold front waiting to work in from the north and west, and that will start working in as this upper low out of Nevada starts to come our way. In the meantime, let's enjoy a quiet evening with no rain, no storms, no strong or severe weather to worry about. Maybe a little extra cloud cover by the time we head toward Tuesday morning, but that won't stop us from dropping back to about 53 to get your chilly Tuesday morning started. Lower to middle 70s by the noon hour tomorrow, and then ahead of that next front, maybe a few isolated showers or storms in the very far western and southwestern counties. But the vast majority of us, I still expect us to stay mainly dry for tomorrow afternoon. 53 in the morning, 74 by noon. Highs near 79 degrees. Maybe a couple more isolated storms on the Kansas side, maybe northeast Oklahoma for tomorrow night. But then there's the cold front with that next batch of widespread rain and storms, some of which could be strong, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But that could bring some more accumulating rain our way. Not as much as what we saw with the last system, but anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to maybe 1.5 inches. So that's just more rain chances lining up, but it will serve to keep temperatures in check at the very least. 79 for our Tuesday, 76 Wednesday, 75 on Thursday. But once that system clears up with one last big batch of rain on Friday, Jordan, highs in the upper 60s to lower 70s. We're looking great for the weekend, and certainly with those cool nights with lows in the 40s.
Yeah, the sunshine was so nice today.
A much-deserved reward after what we had to deal with last night.
I like that. Reward. Yeah, Nick Kelly, thank you, as always. Still ahead, Kansas City police searching for answers and suspects after someone was killed by 2 hit-and-run drivers leaving last night's Chiefs game. Pedestrian from Kansas is dead after being struck by 2 hit-and-run drivers near Arrowhead Stadium as a man was leaving the Kansas City Chiefs game. Police are searching for the drivers who fled the scene last night. The victim was a 66-year-old man from Wichita. Police say the man and another person left the game early, so traffic crews were not yet on the scene to assist with exiting. The second person was not hit. Police say the victim was hit by a vehicle and while lying on the roadway was run over by a second vehicle. The man passed away at a hospital.
It's important that these drivers get in touch with us, okay? As this story becomes more publicly known, they will obviously know they've hit a person. And we're left to no other conclusion than that they're trying to conceal their identity when that becomes the case and we still don't hear from them.
Well, the investigation continues into a Dallas County kidnapping investigation as authorities try to piece together new information. Reporter Michael Atkinson has more, including the discovery of 2 men, additional men connected to the property where authorities say Cassidy Rainwater was held in a cage.
Well, there's a number of unknowns in this story, but here is what we do know. 2 men, Timothy Norton and James Phelps, are charged with the kidnapping of 33-year-old Cassidy Rainwater. Investigators say Phelps and Norton held Rainwater in a cage on a property at Moon Valley Road near Buffalo. This is what that property looked like just a week ago when KRCG 13's Mark Slavitt visited. Days later and hours before Phelps and Norton were due in court, that cabin where authorities say Rainwater was being held burned to the ground. I visited the spot on Tuesday morning where small smolders were still burning and the area did not appear to be monitored by authorities. While there, I took these photos of a small shack on the property just yards away from that cabin that burned down. When we visited on Friday, that shack too had been destroyed. We saw a number of visitors taking photos of the property, some of them offering the conspiracy theories of cannibalism and multiple murder victims plaguing the area. Dallas County Sheriff Scott Rice has condemned those conspiracy theorists in a lengthy Facebook post from Thursday night titled Addressing Fake News. In it, Sheriff Rice says, "While I understand the impatience and curiosity of the people, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. It is not a good idea to listen to a crime reporter / blogger or TikTok videos that is sitting in their apartment or their mommy and daddy's basement eating great value cheese puffs and drinking box wine with grand intentions of being a social media superstar." He goes on to say that individuals are not entitled to a, quote, play-by-play of an ongoing investigation, adding that he has all parties involved with Cassidy Rainwater's case in jail, and he expects additional charges to be filed in the coming days. We visited the sheriff's office on Friday, where Sheriff Rice declined to comment and refused to meet or speak with us at all. That said, we continue to investigate, and we found there are many more people connected to the Moon Valley Road property, including at least 2 registered sex offenders according to official records. One lists that Moon Valley Road address as their address on the Dallas County sex offenders list. Another listed that address in 2008 charges of illegal pursuing, taking, or killing of wildlife. Among other previous charges, he was convicted in July on federal charges of receiving and distributing child pornography. As the sheriff declined to comment for our story, it's not clear the extent of the investigation and whether these individuals or others are involved. But Sheriff Rice says in his post that all parties involved with Cassidy Rainwater's case are in jail. Those charged with kidnapping, that is James Phelps and Timothy Norton, are scheduled for a preliminary hearing on November 5th.
Rainwater is still missing. Anyone who knows her whereabouts should contact their local law enforcement. Gotta have some happy news too, right? Things are hopping over at the Sunset Zoo in Manhattan, Kansas. Workers there are welcoming the addition of a rare albino wallaby. Named Bruni after an island off Tasmania, home to about 200 of the melanin-challenged marsupials, the wallaby only recently emerged from its mother's pouch months after being born. Now, zoo officials still don't know whether Bruni is a boy or a girl. Cute whatever it is, if you ask me. It's a good thing they gave the Joey a unisex name. Bruni also has a brother named Arlo, came out of the pouch before Bruni and is not albino. The 2 additions bring the wallaby count at Sunset Zoo to 5. Final check on weather next.
God loves you.
Take time now to honor a local veteran, Lieutenant Colonel Verl Schufelt. The Edna, Kansas native served in the U.S. Army. We are proud to thank and salute Lieutenant Colonel Verl Schufelt. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. Going to have more on how last night's storms were miserable on trees in particular, causing damages. Also, higher prices and lower stock of items as many economists worried of inflation. And we look at the nationwide issue of nursing shortages. That and more tonight. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. All right, business in the front, party in the back, all style. Reporter Jenna Bree introduces us to the boy who's working to prove he's got the best mullet around.
Meet JD Sturks.
I had my mullet since I was in 2nd grade. We went to the barber shop one day and I wanted to get my hair cut just like my favorite baseball player, Chris Bryant. And then my mom asked, "Are you sure you want to get this?" And I said, "Yeah, I do want to get this."
Out of around 500 kids around the country, he's made it to the 3rd and final round of the USA Kids Mullet Championships. The top 25.
To get that perfect picture, I spent, I think, an hour and 30 minutes at the barber's.
The Pulaski native says he wants to win this title not just for himself, but for his whole community.
If I win, I get a prize pack, and some of it is money, and if with that money, I plan on donating some of it to parents that can't afford like groceries and Christmas presents for their kids.
His mom, Kate, says she never thought her sharing a few posts on Facebook could rally so many supporters.
It just goes to show the tight-knit community that is Northeast Wisconsin, and of course Pulaski. Like, they're just rooting for the hometown kid, and it's fun, right? Like, it's just a fun thing to get behind and get away from the craziness that is life.
Kid, you are rocking it. Sell it with style. Sell it with style.
Better than I ever could.
Same here. Final look at the forecast.
Yeah,
Nick.
we're looking good for tonight. We are keeping dry. We'll watch for a few isolated storms in the afternoon tomorrow with highs near 79. But more rain in the forecast Wednesday through Friday. We'll touch base on all that again coming up at 10. Jordan.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. See you at 10. Have a great night.
Salon services provided.